What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Macho Movie Madness.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Brandon. Alongside me always is Andrew. And today it's Warehouse B, episode 27, and it's Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. So, we've got Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice for Warehouse B, episode 27 today. And I just watched this for the first time. I got to say, I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I wasn't expecting... See, Children of the Corn, which I think I did a review on my channel.
For this channel.
Or for this channel. Okay,
we'll have to link it to this video.
Yeah, so I did that. It was kind of in the style of how I do it on my channel.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I did one of those, and that was over a year ago, right after we first launched the channel back, when we first come back. And I was surprised by the film. I never watched it before for whatever reason, like it had been hiding on me or something. I know it hadn't been. I just hadn't watched it thinking it would be any good, and it surprised me. It was really good. That said, it wasn't so amazing like a Friday or a Halloween movie or something that I'm like, okay, I definitely need to see the second one.
Or the ninth one.
Yeah. But they supernatural slashers, I guess, have a place too. Yeah. This one, the first one was 1984. This one came out in 1992. And that's quite a ways out from a first movie.
Yeah.
It really was. It seemed like a lot of TV actors in this, or seemed what went on to be TV actors. It's like you'll recognize a lot of faces, and it's like Terrence Knox. You're gonna recognize this dude, but you don't know what the fuck he was in.
Right.
And I think I recognize him from like Lois and Clark: The Adventures of Superman. That's the only credit I can see on IMDb that I remember him in. And that's where, and I was like, because when I've seen him, like, I know that guy, but I couldn't tell you what, because I looked all of his movies up and I don't know any of those movies. Then you've got Christy Clark, who was in a couple movies. She was in a couple horror movies, and of course, Days of Our Lives.
She was in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
That's right. She was, which was 85.
Yeah, it
was a year after the first one, and this was 92. So she was in that, and then she was in Days of Our Lives, soap opera actor.
They just all look really familiar, but you just don't know what from.
Exactly. This was directed by David Price. Don't know any of his credits.
He was the producer on a movie that we've already done on Warehouse B, Leprechaun.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. This movie was not as bad as Leprechaun.
No.
I think Leprechaun may have looked better. I can't remember the budget now, but I think Leprechaun probably was filmed and looked better.
I think they were about the same. I think they were both around $900,000 budgets, this and that.
Well, this is 1.3.
Oh, was it 1.3?
Maybe the transfer just doesn't look very good, because the one I watched was it was a DVD, so I don't know if they've got the Leprechaun is HD. Maybe there's a better transfer out there. It just didn't look as good to me. It definitely felt like a early to mid 90s TV film.
Yeah,
is what it kind of looked like, just kind of like Leprechaun did. This here, and you mentioned it before we started, it wasn't as serious as the first one. It didn't seem to take itself as serious to that degree. And Leprechaun really didn't either. Like, it was not meant to be serious either. But I actually, for whatever reason, like this movie more than Leprechaun.
Quite a bit more.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because Leprechaun was maybe too goofy.
Maybe.
You know, we talked about it being like, you know, kind of forgettable. I don't know. It's really weird. I guess it just comes down to feeling when you watch a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because there's some goofy deaths in Leprechaun like that pogo stick
one.
But there's some equally goofy deaths in this movie too, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Very, very goofy, but at least they tried something different. Some of them were more practical. Too, like there's one that was more practical, and I'll talk about that in a little bit too. This made 7 million out of the 1.3. It made 7 million
not bad.
Box office. I was thinking this is going to be a straight to DVD or VHS, whatever you want to call it, video. It was not. It was released in theaters.
This was the last one.
The last one released in yeah. It still, I think, holds a 30% approval rating. 4.1 out of 10. Oh, I know you said so, it's kind of, they describe it as so bad it's good. I don't know if I would agree. Maybe. I don't know if it's so bad it's good. You know, like Leprechaun's just kind of like middle of the road. It's not like terrible, but it's not good. This one
I can sit down and legitimately have good fun with.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so bad it's good. If it falls in that category, it's not great, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not like, I don't know if I would put it that way necessarily. So as far as the story goes, this picks up like 2 days after the events of the first film.
Yeah, in Gatlin. They transfer the kids from Gatlin to Hemingford a couple of towns over.
Yeah, and all the adults that were still alive, or all the adults in that town, whatever, take these kids in that survive the events of the first film. They take them in very naively,
right,
thinking that they're helping them. Which, you know, the one woman, Mrs. Ruby, the one that's moving her house, Marty Terry, because she actually plays Ruby and Mrs. West.
Okay, that's cool.
She's the same person, like she's playing the same sisters. So she's playing sister, same actress. So Mrs. Ruby's the one that comes in on the bike at the beginning and warns all of them, "What are you doing? These kids are evil. They've killed all their parents, and you're doing this?" Like, not me. She's like, "I'm out of here. I'm taking me and my house with me." And I'm thinking, how are you going to move your house? And I, to this day, didn't even know that was a possible thing. But which I guess I should have known that. But it was, she's moving the house.
I read in the trivia section of IMDb they were actually moving that house in that town.
Oh, nice.
So I guess they built that death around that. So
okay, built that in the story.
Yeah,
very nice. So the movie, back to the story of a failing, I guess you could say, journalist, John Garrett. It's kind of his last ditch effort, last attempt at saving his career, is going to this town to cover the events of the first film. Much like all the other reporters, he's running late. He's got a son, Danny, with him, who they've got an estranged relationship because of the divorce, and things weren't really going well on that front. They're already strained coming into this town, and he meets this bed and breakfast owner who they basically find room and board with during this film. And just, chaos ensues. They don't realize the kids are still going into the cornfields at night and still trying to figure out
he who walks behind the rows.
Yeah, trying to figure out what they're supposed to do next.
Yeah,
basically.
They're led by Micah this time.
Yeah, Micah, who is I'll show you here on the screen here. The kid in all, well, if I can move it around, the kid in all black here. He is obviously the leader. You could tell by the beginning of this movie, like he's the only one wearing all black, like a preacher, like Malachi, or what's his name?
Isaac.
From the first. Isaac from the Malachi was the right hand. He ends up getting possessed by he who walks behind the rows, I guess, the spirit, and he leads these kids into whatever the fuck they're supposed to be doing. I don't know. I guess they want the land.
Apparently,
there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I wasn't really quite sure why that it was in there. I guess they were trying to like figure out why this spirit was angry and why the spirit was killing adults, why the spirit was using kids. And it ended up being, just a little bit of a spoiler alert here, it ended up being some old Native American shit. They get, there's wrongdoings that happened on the land. They got their land taken from them, so the kids killed the adults to take it back. I don't. It was something weird like that.
Yeah, pretty much. And of course, I love you've got the mystic Native American character. We were just talking about this in another review that we did of Versus for Firewalker. I like Red Bear in this too. He's got very.
He's a college professor.
Lines, but yeah, then he's very normal at the same time.
Yeah, he's a normal modern day college professor, but he goes back and he does the Native American shit, the stereotypical Native American shit.
He might have been my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, Frank Red Bear.
Yeah,
that's his name. I don't know what else to say. So the characters, for the most part, like the lead character Terrence Knox, he plays John. He's okay. He's kind of got that strong look about him. I thought it was funny when Red Bear was leading him on in the school or whatever, and he's like, "You're John Garrett. You're a reporter for such and such. You're such and such height, and you're 177 pounds. How do you know all this?" He's like, "I'm Native American." I know he said some shit to be funny, but he's like, "No, even in a small town where there's like nobody left, you should probably not leave your wallet in your car."
That was good.
That was a good, but then I'm like, okay, I'm calling foul right now. That motherfucker ain't 177 pounds.
No,
that dude is 260 at least, 250. He is a broad dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, look at that chin. That dude is at least 230. He ain't 177.
They cast it after the script was already written.
Yeah, exactly. No, we won't bother to change that shit.
Yeah. I thought he was okay. Him and Danny, they weren't the most interesting leads to me.
No, that whole estranged relationship's fine, but it's very TV movie-ish.
Yeah.
But it just, I think that was more the acting though. That was why.
Micah, I liked for the most part as the leader of these kids. The kids were okay. Christy Clark, her character Lacey, I liked her better than just about anybody in the movie. She was real. She felt real. She
did. She was kind of out of it, and she's kind of got caught up in the shit because she was nearby. I think she was an orphan too. The bed and breakfast owner, what's her name? I'm trying to find her
Angela
name
in the movie.
Angela in the movie. Yeah, so she seemed kind of the same too. She was one of the naive ones trying to help the kids, which she took in Micah. But she seemed all right too for the most part, and she obviously got caught up in the middle of that shit too. It definitely wasn't as serious as the first one. It didn't have the creep factor and the mysteriousness of the first one because you already kind of knew what was going on. In the first one, it took a little while to get. It was a slow burn, and it was really kind of unfolding slowly, and you started getting this presence. By the time they ran into the gas station owner and then got into that town and they started making the loops, and they wind up in the same spot, and it wind up in this small town, almost like a trap. I don't know. Stuff started to unfold, and you can kind of sense the supernatural. Here, it was pretty supernatural from the beginning.
Yeah,
you had the spirit of the cornfields attacked the reporters and chucked the corn stalk into the window and impaled the dude in the neck, and then another one of the corn stalks, like the leaves from it, like slice the other dude's neck. I was like, what? There was some goofy shit with all the lightning and all the weird special effects they tried to do. I thought that was goofy. You had the predator vision almost like
in the beginning,
that I was just really not the biggest fan of. I get what they were trying to do,
but to me, where this movie, it's not as creepy and as original as the first one. It makes up for it to me with fun and the kills.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that.
A lot of fun with the kills in this.
I do agree with that. We mentioned it with the house. Really cheesy, really goofy, but funny and entertaining. The Mrs. Ruby dies under her house. She's moving her house. They've got this shit up on this hydraulics, and she goes under
there.
Yeah, she goes under to get the cat, which is weird because she was like looking around forever, like you can't see the cat right there in front of you on there. she gets out from under there. I'm guessing they kill the cat. It sounded like they killed the cat. The kids all show up and release the hydraulic system, and the house falls over or comes down slowly on top of her, trapping her underneath and crushing her.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Her damn feet are hanging out the end like the witch from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, what a world this is! What a world!" Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, what a world! As she gets crushed, and then I'm like, "What the hell?" And then and this is before it shows her feet. So she's saying this as a callback to Wizard of Oz, and I'm laughing because like this is as stupid as shit to say. Yeah, you're getting crushed to death under your house. Not a oh my god! It's a oh what a world! What a world! And then it shows her feet, which just makes it everything, just everything, just dangling out from underneath the house. It would have been great if her name was Mrs. Ruby, but she didn't have ruby slippers on. But that would have been even better.
That could be a tie-in. I don't know.
But the Ruby name, I'm just thinking. Well, and funny enough, that was the Wicked Witch of the East. Her sister is named Mrs. West. The one in the wheelchair.
That's funny. We may have just made a connection there.
I think we just made a connection that I didn't catch at the beginning, but
yeah. With your sister's death. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. The best.
So
everybody go on YouTube and watch that right now.
Yeah. She's condemning these kids too. And as she's going down the street in her motorized cart, they've got this car on a radio control.
Somehow the same controller takes over her electric wheelchair.
Yeah, and puts her out in the middle of the street where this huge semi hits her and sends her through the community center window where they're playing
bingo. Yes.
And as she lands, the guy comes up with his bingo.
Yeah, he's like, bingo. What's so great is not just the fact that she gets hit, but the way she flies. And then you have to picture this wheelchair going at a weird angle, completely opposite of, I'm pretty sure how, like, there's no way, I don't think that it would have obviously crushed her, but the way it hit her and pushed her, basically it projectiled her into this window, and just the visual
opposite direction.
Yeah, and the visual of the wheelchair with a dummy made up as an old woman with a wig coming through the window and just flopping around is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You have to go watch this movie or watch it on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And of course, to add up to
the guy to say bingo.
Yes, and of course he does.
The guy in the church with the glasses and the bloody nose, he starts bleeding out.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was a really good death too.
Yeah, he was kind of voodoo dolling him a little bit, and stabbing a wooden dummy basically with his knife.
Yeah,
from the back row, and this dude was just bleeding out of every orifice in his head and just bled to death right there. He was coughing up blood and throwing up blood on everybody in the church. It was gross. It was crazy. Yeah. What any other deaths? Like they got the doctor, they stabbed him to death, a bunch of syringes and knives and stuff. They end up burning the rest of the adults, and they had a town meeting. They burn them.
Yeah.
Was in a church or the school or what was it?
Peering through the windows as this is going on, and then they burn them alive.
Yeah, lock them in, douse the place in lighter fluid, and burn them all alive. That's pretty crazy.
Micah, the leader, his death were the huge tractor, the combine
harvester thing. Yeah,
takes him under. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, showing the blood and the guts and shit coming out the back end. That was pretty good. That was a good death. Really, really worth watching just for the deaths. You can get through most of the craziness. It's really not so painful of a watch that I don't know. Maybe it's just because they didn't have a goofy leprechaun with stupid music that it didn't throw me off as bad.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know.
If you're in a mood for a quirky thriller, I'd say give it a watch for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't talk about our cons. Is there anything that really stood out to you as bad? I've got one. So there's two romances going on in this. There's Lacey and Danny, the two young kids, and I thought that romance was done right. Like you could tell they were falling for each other. And then there's the dad, Garrett and Angela, and they're just talking. They don't really have too many scenes together. And then the next scene, they're making the sweatiest love I've ever seen in my life.
I know. I don't know.
That was sudden.
Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, that happens sometimes. Sometimes sometimes things just happen sudden. But it is. I get what you're saying. It is weird.
Yeah, it was kind of jarring just how quick that romance,
Yeah.
took fruition. But
I mean, I like I said, I didn't like the Predator Vision thing. I think some of the effects were super cheesy. I don't expect a lot. I guess I shouldn't expect a lot out of a $1.3 million movie in '92. The acting was okay in places, really, really shitty in most places. I think you're right. I think Lacey was the best one.
Yeah.
Angela wasn't too bad. I didn't think that John was a bad actor. Just wasn't a lot about him.
Yeah.
His character, it just didn't have the same feel or creepiness and, like I said, mysteriousness as the first one did. You're really just watching it for the kills, and the kind of the campiness of it. I think if I had to pick one real con, it might have been the reasoning as to why this was going on. That old Native Americans that they found the rock paintings and it was explaining maybe what happened, and then there was a line drawn where this is what hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And then they kind of used Red Bear at the end and his death to be the spirit, the new good spirit that watches over the place after the he who walks behind the rose is destroyed. I don't know.
Yeah.
It basically all ends very similar to the first one too, with big explosions and fires going off in cornfields. Not the best thing I've ever seen, but not the worst thing I've ever seen. And definitely, I would probably watch it over Leprechaun.
Yeah, I would too.
Just for the kills and some of that funny wheelchair scene.
I'm thinking I'm wanting to go like 2 3/4 on this one.
Yeah, do you remember? What did we give Leprechaun? Was it a 2?
2. This is definitely better than that.
Yeah. I could probably give it a 2.5 or 2 3/4.
Yeah, I don't think acting wise and story wise it's quite in that 3 range, but
yeah,
it's really close.
I'll probably go 2.5. But anyway, let us know in the comments below what y'all think of Children of the Corn 2 if you've watched it. I highly recommend you do at least one time or go through and watch the kills, because that's really what it's all about. Yeah, make sure you like the comment. Don't miss anything else. What did we say for episode
28? We're going to do Near Dark.
Near Dark, yeah.
With Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen.
Yeah, so. Good set of characters, vampire movie.
Yep.
We're gonna try. I've never seen it, so I'm pretty excited. Actually,
it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up real soon. Until next time,
we're out of here.